This video is designed to support educators in creating quality kindergarten curriculum, instruction, and assessment that supports young learners of all abilities and language backgrounds and includes them as active participants in their learning. It is critical that teachers and administrators acknowledge that learning in kindergarten is playful, interdisciplinary, multilingual, supports students with disabilities, and connects to the New York State standards.
I am a firm believer that our younger students do a lot of their learning through play, and that we can use play to learn. And that if we are very purposeful about the play activities that we're offering to our children, they really can have an enriched experience.
Creating a collaborative and inclusive community is perhaps the most important job of a teacher. And that means giving yourself permission to take your time at the beginning of the year so that children can explore the materials and how they are used, examine their purpose.
That environment is what drives the kids' interest to learning more about the world, so that by the time that they get to that third grade, they remember the things that they were taught even as young children.
New York State Standards, the foundation for learning goals. Standards are the where we are going or destination of the instructional cycle. State standards articulate a learning progression of what students can learn and do at various stages along a continuum as a result of instruction and learning experiences. They provide a framework for districts and local programs to develop local curricula and plan instruction that is individualized, differentiated, culturally and linguistically relevant, developmentally appropriate, and context-based.
The standards are foundational. It's where we need to go. So that guides our curriculum development here in the district.
While state standards articulate learning objectives for all children, they are not designed to prescribe a lockstep progression of lessons or curricula for all children, since each child's pace of development is not uniform and is not expected to be.
The children come in kindergarten, sometimes a year apart, and then at all different, background knowledge and ability level. So we try to build their schema and then we scaffold that throughout the lessons.
Curriculum. Districts develop or select curriculum that connects to their learning goals and supports the kindergarten students. Curriculum includes content, lessons, subject matter, themes, units of study, and learning experiences that are designed to achieve long-range learning goals for students.
Curriculum is very much a collaborative experience here. Teams of teachers come together with administrators. We look at how we're going to design the unit that is authentic in the ways that we hope and will address the standards.
Along with the standards, we have the 21st century skills that, is built into how we execute the standards. And most of those 21st century skills have to do with collaboration, have to do with working in groups, have to do with doing a presentation.
Curriculum is the what of the instructional cycle. It includes an outline of the content, concepts, and skills that are going to be taught. Curriculum should have flexible design to meet the unique needs of individual students of all abilities and language backgrounds, allowing students to work at different levels on different activities in multiple languages. This includes cultural and linguistic context of a local community and of individual students. Curriculum should address all domains of learning and development since they are intrinsically linked and mutually supportive.
There is a true commitment in this school to valuing the differences that children bring culturally. We also address how we're going to make our classrooms inviting and accepting of all backgrounds.
Social and emotional development, physical development, English and home language development, and approaches to learning play critical roles in supporting young children's learning across all academic areas.
Jim could say, can I use that when you're done?
Oh my goodness, let's try saying that. Can I use that when you're done? Jordan thinks we That is a very respectful way to ask for what you want and need. Gabby, did you have a different idea?
Curricula that narrowly focuses on basic skills or relies on drills or worksheets should be avoided, especially in kindergarten, since they have little meaning to young children. Instruction. Instruction is the how of the instructional cycle. It includes the action of teaching to promote student learning, outlined by curriculum and guided by what is understood about individual students, including their diverse abilities and language skills.
The way to first integrate is to think about your students in general, the population of students that you work with each and every day. I know what their challenges are, I know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and I take all of that into consideration when I'm planning for any kind of unit. I think about, okay, what type of activity could I incorporate that goes along with this theme so that, they're doing something that is very engaging for them and very hands-on.
Instruction includes teaching strategies and approaches, scaffolding, direct and indirect instruction, leveraging of home language, grouping, individualization, differentiation, modifications, and adaptations used while teaching to improve student learning. It also includes utilizing learning environments, interacting with students, creating a classroom culture, fostering student engagement, and embedding social and emotional supports.
So it's just giving them the materials and kind of sparking that interest, or if they see something in a book, my job is to listen and to kind of provide those extra materials that they would need in order to make whatever they're thinking of come true.
We do a lot with interdisciplinary units, and we find that that has such a powerful effect on the children because they're able to pursue their own interests within the parameters of what we need to teach.
So it's really about observing and listening and modeling for children and providing them with the materials they need to build on their play.
Instruction should be balanced to meet individual, cultural, and linguistic needs and build on children's interests and prior knowledge. It must also address the goals and objectives of individualized education programs for students with disabilities. Hands-on practice and purposeful play are meaningful vehicles for students to understand abstract concepts, hone skills, and for teachers to observe student learning and social interaction.
We're going to be working as a team. Play is the work of the young learner. What I mean by that is that this is where the children are really able to figure out who they are in the world on their own, what it means to problem solve, what it means to communicate, what it means to have your feelings, how to navigate these challenges. I would never give up play in any early childhood classroom. The things I learn about the children guides my instruction.
A developmentally appropriate instructional approach is one that is grounded in child development theory and within socially, culturally, and linguistically supportive context.
We're just trying to find ways for kids to be creative and comfortable in the way they learn, but the challenge then becomes to create play that moves the kids academically where we want them to go.
Instruction and assessment are intrinsically connected, ongoing, and cyclical in nature. Instructional strategies. Children should have daily encounters with authentic opportunities that provide them with real reasons to read and write in English and, if multilingual, also in their home language.
Mancharon todo, ¿verdad? Sí, están manchando también.
Including reading and writing and developmentally appropriate authentic language diverse learning centers, provides frequent opportunities for students to write or draw about a topic that interests them.
In kindergarten, they continue with a lot of the same strategies, and they do a lot of comprehension and oral language responses to reading materials and increase in their vocabulary. They have active vocabulary words that they use in the classrooms, because if you are able to speak well, you're able to write well.
Teacher interactions are guided by individual student learning goals and language skills, and allow teachers to observe and respond when specific learning and multilingual opportunities arise.
My classroom is composed of half English dominant students and the other half is Spanish dominant students. And they're both learning from each other as we're working, as we're playing, as we're communicating. And they look to each other for support, and you see a true partnerships between the two language groups and supporting each other and helping each other and guiding each other to learn.
It's more authentic. I kind of find when they're talking to each other, things kind of stick more than if the teacher's trying to teach them. So it's not just the teacher sharing that, it's there amongst themselves.
Our whole study this month has been about all different places to eat. So we went on a field trip to a restaurant. As you saw, we created the buildings in each center today. So the children collaborated to pick what place they wanted to build a new place to eat, and then they constructed it together. So it's teaching them to collaborate with each other and think about how that structure is set up and work together using what we've taught them, so using their schema.
Teachers interact with children daily and may become active participants or play partners as children work in the different learning centers of the classroom.
Or we're going to build a house, would you like to join us? Okay, you could say that too.
Teacher interactions must support the goals and objectives of individualized education programs for students with disabilities.
I might take out a wow bag and I just show them like little props that I have, and it might be a bird feeder and it might be bags of seeds, and I'll say, oh, do you think you know what we might be learning about next? And then I just get like their prior knowledge, like what do you know about birds, or what are you, can you tell me any things that you know are true? And we kind of list all the things we already know about birds, and then we talk about, well, throughout the year, if we want to become experts on birds in our class, what are the kinds of things that we might have to do? And they're like, oh, we have to watch them, we have to read about them, we have to talk to people who are bird experts.
Administrator support for instructional strategies that build on children's interests, experiences, diverse abilities, and language skills is crucial to a quality kindergarten instruction.
We made a decision to reduce the class size in kindergarten by bringing on more kindergarten teachers. Some of that reason has a lot to do with the quality interactions between the adults and the students. When a teacher has many more students to have interactions with, he or she may not be able to dig a little deeper into the needs of students and ultimately how to nurture their development.
Assessment. Assessment is the where we are now and where we should go next of the instructional cycle. There are multiple types of assessment, each with different functions. Screening and diagnostic assessments determine if a student has a specific developmental need, is a multilingual learner, and/or is gifted. The results inform educators and parents how to best support the individual student's needs and abilities. The New York State Education Department's Commissioner's Regulations Part 154-2 requires the implementation of the Multilingual Learner English Language Learner Screening Identification and Placement Procedures by qualified personnel when screening all incoming kindergarten students. Language-appropriate screening and diagnostic tools are administered by qualified personnel, conducted in English and the student's home language. Results are provided to families in their indicated preferred language. Linguistically and culturally responsive formative assessment tools are used to inform instruction and individualize goals and learning experiences. Formative assessment is used to inform instruction and individualize goals and learning experiences. Data from ongoing formative assessment plays a key role in the instructional cycle, creating a feedback cycle between student learning and instruction. The New York State Commissioner's Regulation Part 200 requires that any student suspected of having a disability can be referred to the home district's Committee on Special Education for an individual evaluation. Teachers use multiple forms of formative assessment, including observation, work samples, and interactions to analyze students' understanding and progression toward learning goals, modify their instructional practices, refine classroom environments, provide feedback, and connect with families.
we do stress formative assessments. But in the primary years, that looks very different. Very, very different. And so, giving our teachers that autonomy, treating them as professionals, building their knowledge, helping them to better address the needs of students so that way our kids are on grade level and soaring.
At the end of the week, I will send home the newsletter that captures the words from the song that they learned, offers books for parents to use at home, and the greatest piece of evidence of their growth can happen through conversations with families or pictures, and just the reflection from where their child was at the beginning of the year and what they're able to demonstrate. But it's evident that play is the essential avenue for developing those skills.
For kindergarten, it is critical that assessment be considered within the context of developmentally appropriate practice for all children, and also be linguistically and developmentally appropriate for language-diverse, multilingual learners and students with disabilities.
I cannot stress how important it is for our students to have a strong foundation in their education in kindergarten, first, second grade. And then how are we supporting our kids with experiences that will help them really access that third, fourth, and fifth grade curriculum?
They learn, they're just sponges and they absorb everything. And it's just such an amazing thing to see when the light bulb goes off in their head and it's like, oh, I got it. I understand.
It really makes a difference if we as educators can make a connection to this is what learning can be for you when you're that young, when you are 4 and 5, and I can help you enjoy school. And I'm going to expose you to learning that is really going to be very appropriate for you, that will feel just right, and that you will enjoy and will not forget.
Every decision we make as teachers is centered around providing students with an experience that is filled with joy and purpose, because this is their first experience and insight into what school can be. And ultimately we want to instill that love for learning, and it requires honoring who they are at this age.